Right now at 11, suing a hospital and a nurse who allegedly swapped out fentanyl for tap water. The multi-million-dollar lawsuit that alleges a patient did not have to die. Plus,
if our children are not the priority, then we aren't going to have the future that we need.
thousands of families once again facing uncertainty with a Southwest Washington school district set to slash millions. But first, high stakes in Salem with some new faces signing on to the compromise around recriminalizing hard drugs. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Those efforts by state lawmakers include fine print that potentially includes jail time and works to improve and clarify treatment options. Catherine Cook was there as elected officials, stakeholders, and members of the public testified before a joint committee.
House committee members say public input has been critical in this process. They say what they're trying to do is build a bridge between law enforcement and treatment providers. Many critics of HB 4002 say these latest amendments offer too much discretion on how that happens, especially when it comes to minorities. Many supporters of the bill say their focus remains completely on saving lives.
We know that we have to take action. We've got 5 Oregonians are overdosing and dying every day.
Urgency at the Oregon State Capitol on Monday as lawmakers heard arguments for and against House Bill 4002-24. It's the latest iteration of the effort aimed at recriminalizing small amounts of hard drugs, overturning the main tenet of Measure 110.
We have a goal to get people into treatment and recovery and not jail. And we agree that the current system, the way it is set up, is not working.
The original bill, crafted by Democrats, is now a compromise with Republicans, featuring stiffer penalties. Simple drug possession would be called a drug enforcement misdemeanor, a new type of crime. Those convicted of it would initially get probation for a maximum of 18 months, not jail. Though violating those terms could mean courts could send people to jail for up to 6 months.
We need harsher penalties for dealers.
Originally, Democrats had proposed what's called a deflection program. People caught in possession could use it to avoid arrest and conviction entirely. But under the proposed amendments, it would be up to each county to opt in, a big sticking point with critics who worry not everyone will get a fair chance.
I think for us, it's right now about killing House Bill 4002, and that's because we haven't been heard.
Gloria Ochoa Sandoval is with Unite Oregon, a nonprofit focused on a multicultural movement for justice.
But the reality is that we are trying to fight racial biases in the program, and that alone is already allowing for a greater opportunity of counties that have engaged in racial bias interactions with community members to initially choose criminalization.
In a racial impact study it commissioned, the state learned the bill would result in about 2,200 new convictions. Of them, they found 103 would be for Black or African American Oregonians. To be on par with white Oregonians, that number would need to be 74.
Please pass this bill and save lives.
Many who support 4002 and its amendments say this is about saving lives. Juanita Swartwood thinks of her granddaughter who's fighting drug addiction.
Measure 110 didn't cause her addiction, but decriminalizing hard drugs, normalizing their use, and acceptance didn't help.
And then there's Aaron Martinick. Her brother Taylor died after taking an oxycodone pill. He didn't know it was laced with fentanyl.
We need to recriminalize the possession of drugs because people are walking around with lethal items in their pockets, similar to guns. But what's different about them is you have no idea that it's lethal until you're dead.
A work session around this bill is now scheduled for Tuesday at 5 p.m. A vote on the House floor could happen as early as Thursday. In Salem, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Also worth noting that Multnomah County DA Mike Schmidt testified tonight in what appears to be the first time he's publicly shown support for drug recriminalization. Schmidt is up for re-election in May, testified that he still prioritizes treatment over jail. His challenger, Deputy DA Nathan Vasquez, tonight telling us he, meaning Vasquez, has consistently supported efforts to reform Measure 110 and called Schmidt's position tonight a, quote, politically expedient 180. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, a hospital in Medford is now facing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit after a nurse allegedly swapped out prescribed fentanyl with tap water for a patient who later developed an infection and died. The estate of 65-year-old William Horace, is suing Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center and a nurse in connection with his death in February 2022. It's asking for $10 million in pain and suffering, nearly $1 million in medical expenses, and another $500,000 for the wrongful death claim. We have reached out to Asante for comment, but have not heard back. The driver charged with hitting and killing a man over the weekend in Portland's Buckman neighborhood made his first court appearance this afternoon. 22-year-old Shane McKeever didn't say anything during his brief appearance. New court documents say police responded to Southeast Belmont and Grand just before 3 Sunday morning to a report of a vehicle driving into tents. A witness telling police the vehicle hit the victim on a sidewalk and then dragged him. Documents say someone shot at the suspect's vehicle before police arrived. It is not clear who, and witnesses were able to stop McKeever as he tried to run away. He is scheduled back in court next month. And take a look at these photos that show a rescue off Highway 224 in Damascus. Clackamas fire officials say a vehicle plummeted down a 200-foot embankment around 10:30 this morning. The driver was able to get out of the car on their own. Crews, including an off-duty volunteer firefighter, treated the patient and then used a rope system to bring them up the cliff. The driver was taken to the hospital. No word on their condition. All right, let's head outside on this Monday night. 37 degrees, chilly in the Rose City and fairly dry, though up in the Cascades, it's a whole different story. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is in for Matt tonight. Joe, we're talking feet of snow, and it sounds like it's not over yet.
No, and there's going to be more snowfall that will be measured in feet over the next 48 hours throughout the Oregon Cascades. So winter is not over yet throughout the mountains. In fact, winter is going to be carrying over into much of the next 5 to 6 days or so. But here's a live look outside Timberline Lodge. Very windy. Where all those lights are, that's Timberline Lodge. Temperature right now in the mid-teens at 15 degrees, and the winds are going to be howling overnight with gusts anywhere from 30 to 40 miles an hour. Not quite blizzard conditions, but again, it's going to be snowy enough to where there is a winter weather advisory throughout the Oregon Cascades. Over the last 24 hours, Timberline Lodge, you've seen more than 2 feet of snow. Mount Hood Meadows not far behind with 20 inches, and Mount Bachelor, you've seen 8 inches of snow in the last 24 hours. Again, this cold air is coming in from the Gulf of Alaska, and it is just going to be parked throughout much of the Pacific Northwest over the next couple of days. I don't have daytime highs above basically 45 degrees over the next 7 days. You can see those snow showers are going to continue to pile up over Mount Hood. Snow level right around 2,000 feet. Well, the snow level throughout the metro area tomorrow morning, we'll be waking up to a snow level at 500 feet. And I'll let you know if there's any chance over the next couple of days to see a valley event. That's coming up in about 10 minutes from now.
Winter not wanting to give up its grip. All right. Thank you, Joe. Tonight, Oregon and 8 other states are suing to block what would be a mega merger between 2 supermarket chains, Albertsons and Kroger. It's one that would leave grocery stores in the Northwest like Fred Meyer, Safeway, and QFC all part of the same company. Our Blair Best went to talk to shoppers.
For Alicia Ragland, grocery shopping is a full-time job.
Oh, it's just mundane. I don't have to think too much about it.
She works for a delivery service and follows prices closely.
The prices are going up 20, 30, 40 cents almost every week.
She's good at finding deals. On this day, they're at Fred Meyer in Northwest Portland. However, those competitive prices Ragland relies on could be a thing of the past, as the 2 largest traditional grocery chains in the country, Kroger and Albertsons, are looking to merge. So what does that mean for Oregon? Well, 176 grocery stores statewide, including all Fred Meyers and Safeways, would become one company.
I just don't think it's a good idea. I think there should be competitive prices so that, we can afford food.
Oregon's Attorney General agrees. On Monday, she joined the Federal Trade Commission in filing a lawsuit to block the merger.
We believe the loss of head-to-head competition between supermarkets will have serious implications for consumers and will disproportionately harm low-income Oregonians.
We need to really think about what these prices and this kind of greed is doing for all of society.
A merger like this could also slow the growth of employees' wages or even reduce some of those wages. Working conditions and employee benefits could suffer as well.
The local union for grocery workers says that would not happen, and they support a potential merger. Here's why. Given the size, the FTC would require hundreds of stores, many of them in Oregon and Southwest Washington, to be sold to a third party. As part of the merger, a national grocery supply store has agreed to be that third party. Local union leaders say that would benefit staff.
It's better that it goes to companies that actually run grocery stores instead of massive online retailers and massive big box stores. It needs to go to people who actually run grocery stores. Everyone wants to stop the merger, but no one's saying, then what?
But that still leaves everyday shoppers with the weight of struggling to afford the basics.
I'd probably get less orders because people would not want to pay for the service.
I see as these mergers that things are just becoming tighter and tighter.
Blair Best, KGW News.
Well, tonight, new budget cuts and uncertainty are on the horizon for some Southwest Washington school districts, and those include Evergreen Public Schools, where the district plans to trim $20 million ahead of next school year. Thomas Schultz has the latest.
We cannot continue on this way.
Recently, budget cuts have hit Evergreen Public Schools hard. A couple years ago, the district cut nearly 200 positions. Last March, $19 million was slashed from the budget. And on Tuesday, a school spokesperson says the school board is discussing another $20 million in reductions.
If our children are not the priority, then we aren't going to have the future that we need.
Camille Lohman has a kindergartner at York Elementary. She says it's still unclear what exactly will be cut.
If we, as parents, don't know the specifics of what is going to be cut, how do we know how we're going to support our children?
Though she and another parent, Angie Bunda, says they've heard the potential cuts would affect a few core components of school.
Taking away librarians, taking away sports, taking away the arts, taking away everything that makes you feel alive.
Bunda says security personnel at middle schools could also be impacted.
And when we take away everything that inspires our kids, how are they going to do their best or do their best effort to succeed?
In a statement, a paraeducator who preferred to stay anonymous told us there's a hiring freeze for paraeducators. She says budget cuts are starting at the bottom. In a statement, an Evergreen Public School spokesperson says they can't speak to specific cuts before the initial budget reduction recommendations are given on Tuesday, but did say supervisors spoke to those impacted last week. Some will see roles changed. Other jobs will be cut.
We're just going to be left with a bunch of burnt out teachers who love their job and love the students, but don't have the resources or the time or the energy that our children deserve.
And Evergreen isn't alone in budget cuts. Vancouver Public Schools also plans to reduce its budget. And in Washougal, the school district has a $3 million shortfall. And recently, the superintendent announced she'll slash her own salary. Still, in Evergreen, parents are growing more and more concerned about their kids' future.
They deserve a future that is equitable. They deserve a school environment that is fully staffed.
Thomas Schultz reporting there. We expect to learn more about what positions could be cut in Evergreen again for next school year after a board meeting Tuesday night. You're watching KGW News, and straight ahead at 11, a disconnect at Boeing, the new report of the company's safety culture and the long list of recommended changes. Plus, a boost for Portland's food truck scene, the pilot program that'll give you some new options in new places. Stick around.